Hello and thank you for watching another replica airguns video. My name's Michael K. Today we're looking at the Baikal IZH-61, sometimes referred to also as the IZH MP-61. And I don't do a lot of rifle reviews, but this is a nice little inexpensive, kind of unique spring piston side lever air rifle. So I thought we'd take a look at it. Now on this particular unit I've added the scope, so it doesn't come with the scope, but I thought it would be kind of interesting to put this on there for the review, see how it does with the scope. It's a bit tough to see the whole gun here with the camera setup that I have, so I'm just going to show you the barrel part here real quick. So it comes like this, with the open barrel, and you have the hooded sight in the front. Now this review isn't going to be extensive by any means, because I'm really not a spring piston air rifle specialist, but we'll talk about some of the pros and the cons, and a little bit of how to use this gun and how to work it. Well, right off the top, this is not a replica gun. It does look a little bit like a variety of different assault rifles, kind of combined. It's made in Russia by Baikal. Now it comes in a box. I'll quickly show you that. Nothing too special here. Inside the box, as with most of the Baikal stuff, you have this sort of wax paper that things are wrapped in. And there were some parts that came with it. Came with the spring here. Now this spring, I've been told, will increase the velocity of the gun. So it's an alternative spring that has a higher tension. There's also this rod here, and I'm assuming it's a cleaning rod, possibly also a rod you could use to unjam any kind of pellets that get stuck in the barrel. Fairly long rod. And of course you get your manual. Alright, a lot of it's in Russian, but it does have English as well. Now it's going to be tough for me to show you everything about this gun, but it does have the side lever right here, and you just push this part in right here. Hopefully you can see this. This part in right here, which lets you gain access to the lever, and then you would pull it back. Now the lever pull is fairly easy, so anybody could really use this gun. It definitely doesn't have a heavy lever pull. Now when you pull this back, what obviously happens is it puts tension on the spring, and then as it comes forward, it'll push this part forward as well until it locks in position. And when it pushes this rod forward, it actually, there's a magazine or clip on this side, and when that magazine or clip, when the rod goes forward through the magazine and clip, it loads a pellet. And when you recock it again, you can see it, but you can see here that the magazine or the clip basically comes out again and loads another pellet. So I'll load that, I'll just show you real quickly. Kind of hard to do. There we go. So we load another one. See how it comes forward. Load another one. Comes forward. Load another one. And that's pretty much it. Now when you're all done, it doesn't pop out. So you got to make sure that you don't dry fire this gun. So you got to count off the 5 rounds. Otherwise you might dry fire the 6th. And dry firing any spring piston rifle isn't good for the spring or the gun in general. This is what the magazine looks like. Okay. Now, when you put your pellets in, I call it is a magazine, but I'd call it a clip, because it doesn't really hold the pellets in tight or anything. It's more like a feeding clip. So you put your pellets in nose first, and then you insert them in here all the way. And as you cycle the gun, it just pops out a little bit each time. Now again, at the end when you're shooting, what you might find too is if you want to gain access to this, because the last shot you won't be able to pull it out. Another thing you might want to notice is that there's this little, I guess, button here that you push down. When you push that down, you can see that the magazine comes out. So it's got quite a bit of tension when it's in all the way, but as you get near the end, it doesn't have so much tension, so it's not going to fly out. So typically what would happen is your last shot, you would shoot, this would be in, you can't get it out, so you'd have to push this back, and then you can pull this out. Okay, so that's sort of the mechanics of it. It takes a little bit of getting used to this gun and how the mechanics work, but once you get used to it, it's pretty easy to use. You have to make sure also when you're shooting it that you push essentially this piece right all the way in so that it snaps in, otherwise it's going to want to come out. And you have to pull it all the way back before it'll be in position and ready to fire, and then come forward with it again so that it snaps in place. I'm going to show you around the gun a little bit. I think you've seen most of it. You have an adjustable trigger. There's a little screw here that you can adjust basically where the position of the trigger is, when it engages, how quickly. You also have an adjustable sight on this gun. It's adjustable for windage and elevation. I've adjusted mine all the way down because I'm not using it, and it's actually getting a little bit in the way of my getting this on and off. So I just adjusted it all the way down. I'm not using it. Now there is this adjustable stock here, and you just loosen this off and you can move this forward and back. But one thing that I wasn't really aware of until someone told me about it is that you can adjust this position a little bit more, because you have two positions. You have this one position here, and then you also have another position here. So you can kind of move it. When it comes from the factory in the box, you have the shorter one. You can see that here. So you have the shorter position, and you can only move it back almost the full way, but you're about an inch short. So by putting it in here, this is going to be fun, fighting gravity, and then putting the stock on, you can then get another inch out of it. So I like mine set all the way. I have fairly long arms, but you can play around with that, and you can adjust it however you like. On the other side of this gun, not as much in the way of controls. Most of what's going on kind of happens on the other side, other than putting your magazine in. And again, you put it in this way. Now the scope mount on this gun is a 11mm dovetail, and it's not very long. If you go too far forward, you're going to be sort of infringing on the release for your clip, your magazine or your clip release here, if you go a little bit too far forward. So you have to leave some room for that, and that's why it's kind of coming off the end here, but it seems to be working. And you know, you have to put it fairly tight on here, and you have to use a scope that is the right kind of scope for a spring piston air rifle, because they have a funny type of vibration that happens, and it can actually damage certain scopes, so be aware of that. Now I haven't really gotten into any of the specifications yet. I'm kind of doing this review a little bit backwards, but that's okay. So what are some of the basic specifications of this gun? It shoots .177 caliber lead-based pellets. It shoots up to 490 feet per second with the spring that's installed in it. Now it comes with a 5-shot magazine or clip, whatever you want to call it. It comes with 2 of them. Has a rifled barrel, of course. It's got an adjustable trigger. It has an adjustable rear stock, as I showed you. Has the 11mm dovetail rail for scopes and scope mounts. Alright, so at this point, I think I'm going to take you guys outside. We're going to shoot some rounds through the chronograph. And we're going to shoot 5 because it is a 5-round magazine. And then I'm going to shoot 5 rounds at the target and see how we do from 30 feet out in a freestanding position. Now I'm not a spring piston rifle specialist. They do take some practice to get used to these types of rifles because of the type of vibration that they have. You have to hold these guns really loosely in your hand, otherwise your groups aren't going to be very close together. Alright, so I've got my Baikal IZH 61 side lever spring piston rifle here. We're going to shoot 5 rounds through the chronograph. Now this gun has a claim feet per second of up to 490 FPS. I'm using 6.9 grain pellets, .177 caliber pellets. And we're going to put 5 rounds through this gun, through the chronograph, because I have a 5-round magazine, or this is actually more of a clip. Okay, so let's get started. Shot number 1. 490, right on the money. Shot number 2. 49.5. Shot 3. 498.9. Shot 4. 486.7, the last one. 495.6. So we got right up and a little bit over the factory specifications. Now we were using fairly light pellets. They do get heavier. You can get much heavier pellets than .177 caliber, but still these aren't the lightest pellets available. Okay, so we're going to move on to the shooting portion of this test. Again, we're going to shoot 5 rounds through this gun because I have a 5-round magazine. And we'll see how well we do from about 30 feet away in a freestanding position. Okay, so I'm ready and in position to shoot at my target. I'm about 30 feet away here, and I'm in a freestanding position. I'm not going to use a rested position. I have to admit, I'm not really that great of a spring piston shooter. It takes a little bit of practice to use these guns properly. When you're shooting a spring piston rifle or even a spring piston pistol, you have to hold the gun fairly loose. You can't just manhandle the gun. You got to hold it loose and let it rest on the palm of your hand. So don't expect me to get a really good grouping here. I'm just not really a pro at this, but we'll see how well we do. I'm going to do 5 shots. Okay, shot number 1. and I was not even ready. That one came off really quick because I'm still getting used to this trigger. Anyways, shot number 2. Shot number 3. Shot number 4. And shot number 5. And now I'm using a scope. You'll see that in the rest of the review that I'm doing. Okay, so let's go take a look. Again, 30 feet away, freestanding position. Alright, so this one here was the first shot that I wasn't even ready for. And then I got, it looks like 3 really tight here and 1 flyer. So not too bad. This shot here really, I wouldn't count it because I was not even expecting that one to go off. We got these 3 or 4 here, about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. I'm not sure what happened with this high one. Again, I'm not the best spring piston shooter. Probably someone who's experienced at this could probably keep them all in that nice, almost a 1/2 inch zone there. So not too bad, considering all things. So let's head back in and do the rest of the review. Alright, so this gun performed fairly well in the chronograph test. It got right up to that 490 feet per second, no problem with the lighter pellets that we were using. I wanted to give you a little bit of an update. I had a chance to change the extra spring over to see if it was actually a heavier spring and would give me a little bit higher feet per second. And the testing that I did, it was exactly the same. So the only reason you'd want to change the spring over is if your original spring became weak. I also had the chance to reshoot this gun just using the open sights from 30 feet away, again in a freestanding position. I'm not sure if it was the pellet combination or my combination of scope with mounts, but I found that just using the open sights I was able to actually get a much better group. So here's the target that I used for this 5-round group, and you can see here it's just a little bit larger than a standard quarter. Anyways, I thought I'd bring that up and just update this video a little bit for you. Okay, so what are some of the pros and cons? Well, it's a very inexpensive spring piston rifle with some great features. Some of those features are 5-round magazine. It's a side pull lever design, which I kind of like. The advantage over a brake barrel is obviously that you can use a magazine with it. And sometimes brake barrels will give you a little bit of the barrel droop associated with a brake barrel, where you have to heavily adjust your scope to accommodate the barrel droop. Now this gun shoots right on the money as far as feet per second goes. It's a very unique looking rifle. I like the fact that it has an adjustable stock. It also has an adjustable trigger. Comes with the scope mounts. And this gun is really lightweight and it's very easy to cock. So younger adults or weaker people could easily use this rifle. There was a couple cons with this gun. One of which was, you might notice on the stock that you get a lot of marks on it. Now, mine came with all these marks. That's just the way that they come. It's the type of material that it's made out of. It kind of gets little marks in it, and it's just part of the look of this gun. Now, the mechanics on this gun, they take a little bit of getting used to because of the way the magazine works, the way the lever works, all of that takes a little bit of getting used to. So that's the downside, whereas with a brake barrel rifle, they're a little bit easier to use off the bat. I also found that the scope mounts were a little bit short. It would have been nicer if it had a little bit longer scope mounts on it. So that pretty much sums up this review of the Baikal IZH MP-61. It's a great rifle for the money. It's very unique. You can't really go too wrong for about $159. We're selling this rifle down at the Replica Airgun store, so come on down and check us out. I'll also be adding my written review to my website at replicaairguns.com. Make sure to check out some of our other products. We have a lot of other air guns, blank guns, and accessories. So thanks again everyone for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Until my next video, take care.